So let's be clear about this. Our company was dishonest with the EPA and the California Air Resources Board.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the companies whose products, actions, or decisions led to massive and well-known lawsuits.
Roxanne is the latest plaintiff in the state's first class action suit.
Number 10, Nokia versus Apple. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, a new global trend started where people replaced their Motorola Razrs, Blackberries, or Nokia phones with technology's newest shiny spectacle, the iPhone.
Endless entertainment.
The first iPhone was released in 2007, and in 2023, Apple was the world's largest smartphone retailer. But those 16 years weren't all smooth sailing. In 2016, Apple found itself in a legal brawl when it was sued by Nokia for 32 patent violations, covering various parts of the phone and its systems.
Nokia says Apple has infringed several of its patents and has launched a number of lawsuits with the aim of proving it.
Apple hit back, calling these extortion tactics. This wasn't the first time the companies had crossed paths, as they had been suing each other for patent infringement since 2009. The lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount estimated to be around $2 billion.
The swift settlement surprised investors who'd expected the dispute to be ugly and lengthy.
Number 9, GSK plc. It's probably not that surprising that a pharmaceutical company was caught engaging in greedy and deceptive business practices.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
In 2012, GSK plc, then called GlaxoSmithKline, agreed to pay a whopping $3 billion in criminal and civil penalties to the U.S. government. This monumental payout was a result of an investigation that followed multiple whistleblower complaints against the company.
Doctors for years were paid kickbacks to overprescribe GlaxoSmithKline drugs.
The crux of the investigation's findings was that GSK had falsely advertised two of its drugs, Paxil and Wellbutrin, as being approved for use on minors. The company was also investigated for exaggerating the safety of its diabetes drug, Avandia. In a made-for-Hollywood plot twist, GSK had also bribed doctors with hunting trips, speaking engagements, and other luxury gifts to push their medications on patients.
There's millions of dollars to go on speaking tours, to a European pheasant hunt, to tickets for Madonna concerts.
Number 8, Dow Corning. Dow Corning was founded in 1943 as a Dow Chemical Company joint venture, primarily to look into silicone products for the U.S. military. The company eventually diversified into thousands of other products, including sealants, adhesives, and breast implants. Beginning in 1977, lawsuits began to trickle in alleging that Dow Corning's breast implants made their users sick, alleging the implants caused cancer before extending to other diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis.
Women are frightened. They were led to believe that Dow Corning was going to own up to their responsibility.
The trickle eventually became a flood, and by 1995, the company was facing around 20,000 lawsuits from hundreds of thousands of plaintiffs, forcing it to declare bankruptcy.
We needed to use this action to allow us preventively, while our business is still healthy, to keep that healthy so that we can keep our operations going, but also so that we can meet our obligations to the global settlement and a fair resolution for everyone.
Dow Corning eventually offered a settlement of $3.2 billion to plaintiffs and emerged from bankruptcy in 2004.
We have a set sum of money that women will be able to rely on.
Number 7, Wyth Pharmaceuticals.
Tonight, the first Illinois class action lawsuit is filed over Fen-Phen.
From Ozempic to Weight Watchers, bariatric surgery to good old-fashioned exercise, there have been numerous ways to lose weight over the years. Some work great, others not so much. Take Fen-Phen, for example. This 2-for-1 combo of fenfluramine and phentermine was brought to you by Wyth Pharmaceuticals Inc., then American Home Products Corporation. Fen-Phen was introduced in the early 90s and did well enough until reports emerged in 1997 that fenfluramine potentially led to various heart problems. The FDA requested the drug be withdrawn, and America's lawyers declared war.
Attorneys say that within a few weeks, class action lawsuits will be filed in all 50 states.
Over 50,000 lawsuits were filed against Wyeth, and the company at one point offered a $3.75 billion settlement, with the litigation estimated to have cost them around $14 billion.
They should have at least warned the doctors to tell their patients that the side effects are real.
Number 6, Visa and Mastercard. Credit card use has now become so ubiquitous that many people don't even carry cash anymore, opting instead for the ease and convenience of the tap or swipe. But there's a cost to this convenience, as retailers are forced to pay an interchange or swipe fee for the privilege of accepting credit cards. In 2005, a class action lawsuit was filed against Visa and Mastercard, alleging the two companies worked with banks to keep these interchange fees high. An initial 2012 settlement was rejected by a U.S. appeals court since it didn't favor many of the plaintiffs. Visa and Mastercard finally settled the lawsuit for $5.5 billion in 2019. 5 years later, they settled another lawsuit on unlawful ATM transaction fees for $198 million.
Mastercard says the agreement brings some closure to a long-standing dispute by delivering certainty to business owners.
Number 5, WorldCom. WorldCom was founded in 1983 and grew exponentially over the next 17 years by acquiring dozens of telecommunication companies. The company struggled significantly, however, in the wake of the dot-com bubble and their failed Sprint merger, and was forced to take on significant debt to maintain its stock price. A 2002 internal company audit also uncovered that WorldCom had grossly manipulated its balance sheets, inflating revenue and downplaying expenses. This triggered an SEC investigation that eventually found WorldCom had inflated its assets by $11 billion. The company subsequently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the largest filing of its kind at the time. Its CEO served 13 years in prison, and the company and its financial partners paid over $6.1 billion in lawsuit settlements.
Cooking the books to the tune of $11 billion, Bernie Ebbers was convicted on 9 felony counts.
Number 4, the Enron scandal.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown, wants to know why employee retirement funds were wiped out, while at the same time top executives were personally making millions.
Throughout the 1990s, Enron had been the envy of Wall Street, became America's largest natural gas seller, and was named America's most innovative company by Fortune magazine. It soon emerged, however, that this success was largely due to fraudulent business practices and misleading financial statements. Enron's credit rating dropped, its cash reserves were depleted, and its debt skyrocketed. Finally, with its stock practically worthless, Enron declared bankruptcy in late 2001.
The scandal that followed was epic. It made household names out of previously obscure business executives.
Its investors had lost $74 billion and its employees their savings. Shareholders filed multiple lawsuits, including a $40 billion lawsuit that led to a $7.2 billion settlement in 2008. Thousands of employees were also awarded over $100 million to partially recoup lost pensions and 401ks.
I'm not saying that they didn't have any good ideas or do anything, but they tried to monetize things before they were really ready.
Number 3, Volkswagen emissions scandal. In 2013, West Virginia University researchers found unusually high emissions of nitrogen oxides, or NOx gases, coming from Volkswagen vehicles. This led the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to issue Volkswagen an order of violation of the Clean Air Act.
If you're a VW shareholder or employee today, the letters stand for very worried.
Volkswagen admitted to programming their diesel engine software to manipulate NOx emissions. The software was able to switch from a lower emission mode during testing to a higher emission mode when driving on the road.
What VW has admitted is a massive technical fraud.
The scandal affected 11 million cars globally, rocking the automobile industry and earning international attention with clever names like Dieselgate and Emissionsgate. In the US, Volkswagen faced steep criminal penalties of $2.8 billion and settled civil litigation for $14.7 billion.
Volkswagen will also have to pay nearly $5 billion for environmental fines and towards emissions research.
Number 2, BP and Deepwater Horizon.
Scientists are now reporting vast plumes of oil up to 10 miles long under the surface.
On April 20th, 2010, a mix of hydrocarbons, oil, and drilling mud were released onto the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig. The resulting fires and explosions killed 11 people, injured 17 others, and unleashed 5 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico, making it the world's largest accidental marine oil spill.
But the total spill is so much worse than BP let on.
Investigations identified multiple technical failures that helped cause this disaster. Over 130 lawsuits were filed against rig owner Transocean, drilling operator BP, cementer Halliburton, and others. A federal court found that most of the blame fell on BP, with the judge citing their gross negligence and willful misconduct. In 2015, BP agreed to a settlement of $18.7 billion and are estimated to have paid over $54 billion in environmental cleanup and economic damages.
BP says it's put many millions into a healthcare program and has paid $14 billion in claims by individuals, businesses, and government, on top of $14 billion on response and cleanup.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Petróleo Brasileiro S.A. Petrobras. The Brazilian petroleum giant settled a U.S. corruption class action lawsuit for $3 billion.
But in 2009, an investigation began to peel back the first layers of what turned out to be a colossal corruption scheme, with Petrobras at the center.
Meta paid $725 million to settle lawsuits related to the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
We would know what kinds of messaging you would be susceptible to and where you're going to consume that. And then how many times do we need to touch you with that in order to change how you think about something?
Bank of America settled a lawsuit filed by shareholders over its acquisition of Merrill Lynch for $2.4 billion.
This is really a bone of contention for Wall Street. It's a bone of contention for Albany and even for D.C.
Cendant, the travel and real estate firm, was sued for over $3 billion for massively inflating its profits. McDonald's. The lawsuit over third-degree burns from hot McDonald's coffee received national attention.
Stella Liebeck was a 79-year-old widow sitting in the passenger seat of a parked car when she was burned on February 27, 1992.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement. When studies emerged linking smoking to lung cancer and other issues, hundreds of individuals sued the tobacco companies with little success. In the mid-1990s, states began suing tobacco companies for the increased cost smoking brought to public health systems like Medicaid. Faced with the prospect of lawsuits from nearly the entire country, the tobacco companies sought a universal settlement.
I think this will have an impact, probably a profound impact on other states.
In 1998, the 4 largest tobacco manufacturers, Philip Morris, Reynolds Tobacco, Brown & Williamson, and Lorillard Tobacco, signed the Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement with 46 states, Puerto Rico, Washington, D.C., and the Virgin Islands. The agreement restricted their youth marketing practices and included payments of $206 billion over 25 years, the largest corporate settlement in history. More than 45 tobacco companies eventually joined the agreement.
The tobacco industry has surrendered, and they have surrendered on our terms.
Which of these lawsuits shocked you the most? What other companies and lawsuits should have been on this list? Let us know in the comments below.
I thought, oh, I hope he's counting digits on the verdict form. And he was.